Hello everyone. We know that GPIO pins are nothing but general purpose input output pins, and these GPIO pins of Raspberry Pi are used to interface input output devices. So in this video we will go through important GPIO functions of Raspberry Pi used in Python. So let's start with the video. Now let's start with the first function, that is import RPi.GPIO as GPIO. We know that GPIO pins, that is general purpose input output pins of Raspberry Pi, are used to interface or to connect the input output devices with Raspberry Pi. So to use Raspberry Pi GPIO pins in Python, it is necessary to import this package, that is, and therefore we are using import RPi.GPIO. This statement includes RPi.GPIO module in your Python program. RPi.GPIO stands for Raspberry Pi General Purpose Input Output. So this function is basically used to import RPi.GPIO module because we want to use Raspberry Pi GPIO pins in the Python program. GPIO pins can be used as an input or output and allows Raspberry Pi to connect with the general purpose IO devices. We can set GPIO pins as an input or output in our Python program. So additional description about this. In order to use this RPi.GPIO throughout rest of the Python script, you need to put this statement at the top of your file. So when you write a Python script, it is necessary to put this statement, that is import RPi.GPIO as GPIO, at the top of your program. This Python package is already installed on Raspbian OS, so we don't need to install it externally. Just we should include library in our program, and by using which we can access for the GPIO pins. So this is about import RPi.GPIO as GPIO, which is basically used to include RPi.GPIO package in your Python program. Now let's go for the next GPIO function, that is GPIO.setmode, GPIO.BCM, or GPIO.setmode, GPIO.BOARD. We know that pin numbering of Raspberry Pi can be used as GPIO pin numbering or physical pin numbering. So this particular function is used to set the pin numbering, either GPIO numbering or physical numbering. We know that GPIO numbering is identified by BCM, Broadcom system on chip, and physical numbering is identified by P1 header of Raspberry Pi, that is nothing but board. Now this particular function is used to define the pin numbering system, that is either GPIO numbering or physical numbering. So remember this thing, this GPIO.setMode, this function is used to define the pin numbering system, that will be either GPIO numbering or physical numbering. So this is one of the example given. If I want to set pin number 40 of P1 header as GPIO pin as a output, then I have to write in Python script like here GPIO.setMode, GPIO.BCM, as I am using GPIO pin here, that is 21. Now this physical pin number 40 is nothing but GPIO pin 21, and therefore I have written here 21. So we have to write like GPIO.setmode, GPIO.BCM because it is the GPIO pin, and next line is GPIO.setup, 21 comma GPIO.out because this pin will be set as a output pin. But in case of a board, when I use that pin as a physical pin, I have to write like this: GPIO.setmode, GPIO.board. Why board? Because it is used as a physical numbering, and I have to use the number 40 because it is a physical pin, and therefore I have written here GPIO.setup 40 comma GPIO.out. So this is about the GPIO.setMode function, which is used to define the pin numbering system, either GPIO numbering or physical numbering. Now let's go for the next function, that is GPIO.input channel. So this function is used to read the value of GPIO pin. This GPIO.input channel, this function is used to read the value of GPIO pin. Here channel is nothing but GPIO pin number. Here in this function, the channel is nothing but GPIO pin number as per the numbering system. For example, GPIO.input pin number 9. It is a GPIO pin number. It is a channel. So the example is GPIO.input in bracket 9. The channel value is 9. The channel is nothing but GPIO pin number as per numbering system. So this GPIO.input channel, this function is used to read the value of GPIO pin. We are going to read the value of GPIO pin number 9 by using this example. Now let's go for next GPIO function, that is GPIO.setup channel comma GPIO.in. So let's start with the answer. This function is used to set GPIO pin as a input. Remember, this function is used to set GPIO pin as a input because we have written here GPIO.in, and therefore it is used as a input. Again we have to write like channel is nothing but GPIO pin number as per the numbering system. So in this function, the channel that we are using is nothing but GPIO pin number as per the numbering system. So this is the example: GPIO.setup 18 comma GPIO.in. Okay, so here channel, that is nothing but GPIO pin number, is 18, and this GPIO pin number 18 is set as a input pin. So here we can say that this 18 number GPIO pin is set as an input pin. So this function is basically used to set the mentioned channel or GPIO pin number as an input because we are using here GPIO.in. See, remember, pin number will change if you are using the board numbering system. If we are using the board numbering system, that is nothing but physical pin numbering system, then instead of 18 I have to write 12 because GPIO pin number 18 is nothing but physical pin number 12. So this is how we have to change if we are using the board numbering system, that is physical numbering system. Now let's start with the next GPIO function, which is used to uh, set the GPIO pin as a output pin. If you go through this function, that is, what is that? GPIO.setup channel comma GPIO.out. So this GPIO function is used to set GPIO pin as a output, because here we have written GPIO.out and therefore it is used as a output. Again, channel is nothing but the GPIO pin number as per the numbering system. So example given again, GPIO.setup 18 comma GPIO.out. So because of this, we can say that GPIO pin number 18 is set as a output pin. Again, we have to remember, if we are using board instead of BCM, we are using board numbering system, that is physical pin numbering system, then we have to use pin number 12 here, because GPIO pin number 18 is nothing but physical pin number 12. This is about how to set the GPIO pin number as a output pin. Now let's go for this next GPIO function, that is GPIO.output channel comma state. So this function is used to set the output state of GPIO pin. Here we are using this function to set the output state of used GPIO pin. Again, channel is the GPIO pin number that we are using here. The state is nothing but, it is basically output state. It will be high or low. Okay. So in this function, channel is nothing but GPIO pin numbering as per numbering system, and state is nothing but output state, that is high or low. For example, GPIO.output 7 comma GPIO.high. So here we are using GPIO pin number 7 and its state is set as, output state is set as high state. So this function is used to set the output state either high or low of GPIO pin. Now the next GPIO function is GPIO.setup channel comma GPIO.out comma initial is equal to GPIO.high. So this function is used to set GPIO pin as an output, because we have mentioned here GPIO.out with some initial value. Here channel is nothing but, again it is a GPIO pin number, and the initial value given is nothing but the value that we are providing. Now the next GPIO function is GPIO.setup channel comma GPIO.in pull up down is equal to GPIO.PUD up. So let's talk about this function. This function is basically used to set GPIO as an input, because we are mentioning here GPIO.in with pull up register. Channel is nothing but GPIO pin number that we are using. Here we can say that pull up or pull down, enable pull up or pull down if it is required. Now let's revise all GPIO functions using this Python program. This Python program is for to control LED using switch. two components, two devices we are using here, LED and switch. We are going to control the LED using switch. Now let's revise all GPIO functions that we have studied using this example. So the first statement in this Python script is import RPi.GPIO as GPIO. We know that when we have to use GPIO pins of Raspberry Pi, then we have to import this module, that is RPi.GPIO, and therefore we are using this statement, that is import RPi.GPIO as GPIO. Now pin number 32, which is a physical pin number, the pin number as per the board is set as it is connected with LED. If we are talking about BCM pin number, then we have to use here pin number 18, because GPIO pin number 18 is nothing but physical pin number 32, and here we are using the pin number as per board, and therefore here written is LED is equal to 32, means LED is connected to pin number 32 of a board. If I want to use as per BCM, then I have to use GPIO 18 here. Instead of 32, I have to write 18. Now this switch is connected to the pin number 29. Again, this 29 number is as per board, that is, it is a physical pin number. If I want to use GPIO pin number instead of physical pin number, then I have to use the number 27, because physical pin number 29 is nothing but GPIO 27 as per BCM. So we are using two pins as per board, 32 and 29. Now the next line is GPIO.set warning false, means we have to disable all warnings. Now the next is GPIO.setmode, GPIO.BOARD. So here we are using physical pin numbers, that is pin number as per board, and therefore we are using here the function GPIO.setmode, GPIO.BOARD. Okay, if I have to use the pins as per BCM, then here I have to write GPIO.BCM. So here we are using this GPIO.setmode, GPIO.BOARD, because we are using pin numbers as per board. Now I have to set the LED as a output, and therefore I am using this line GPIO.setmode LED comma GPIO.out. That means this pin is set as a output. LED is set as a output. Similarly, I have to set switch as a input, and therefore I have used here the function that we have already learned, that is GPIO.setup switch input comma GPIO.in pull up down GPIO.PUD underscore up. So this GPIO function is used to set GPIO as an input. Here we are using switch as an input, and therefore we are using GPIO.in. So remember the functions that those are used to set a particular pin as an input or output. Now the next is the loop is mentioned over here while true, and the condition given is using if else loop. If the switch is pressed, switch is used as an input, that is switch is pressed, then the state of LED will be low. So here we are using GPIO.output LED comma GPIO.low. So here output state is mentioned here, it is low state. So we have already seen this function, and else What is the condition? GPIO.output LED, GPIO.high. So otherwise the output state of LED will be high state. So this is how we can say that we can use different GPIO functions in order to use GPIO pins of Raspberry Pi.